Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome to GNR Central, and let's get started with this week's news. So this is from about a week or two ago. Axl took to Twitter again and of course got political. If you guys have been following the news the last couple of weeks, you know that the US government is shut down, at least at the time of recording this. And Axl voiced his displeasure, so he quoted a law professor from Harvard who said, "The fools who enable this constitutional immorality, those fools are the Senate Republicans who have placed party over country and President Trump over the Republican Party." So that's a quote that was from Lawrence Lessig from the Huffington Post. So according to the Huffington Post, constitutional law expert and Harvard professor Lawrence Lessig dismissed President Trump's characterization of the immigrant situation at the Mexican border as a crisis on Sunday, then said the real national emergency was this president. Asked about Trump's threat to escalate to declare a national emergency on the southern border so that he can order his wall built without congressional approval, Lessig told MSNBC the man is using words that have no connection to reality. He says we have a national crisis, a national emergency. I agree we have a national emergency, but the emergency is his president. Lessig added, the emergency is in fact that we don't have executives who are exercising his power in a responsible way. And Lessig said the president can't build his wall without the backing of Congress. He went on to say ultimately he has no constitutional authority to exercise the power to build the wall without Congress's approval. These statutes were certainly not written with the intent to give a man like Donald Trump the power that he's now claiming. So in an opinion piece Lessig published on The Guardian on last Friday, he said the Constitution would not uphold the actions of a president who shut down the government to insist on a program that was not supported by the public. Lessig referred to the situation as a vetocracy or a vetocracy, ruled by petulance rather than principle. And he said if the Republicans support Trump in this, they are saying that any president can support whatever policy he likes, including, say, to nationalize health insurance. So then he went on to use the quote that Axl said. So I'm kind of curious from you subscribers who are American, like, have you guys noticed that the government is shut down in the States, or is like you guys don't really notice it unless you watch the news? I know in Canada this shit would never happen because if the government ever shut down in Canada, people would be rioting in the streets. Although the closest thing we've probably had to that seems to happen every year or two is when our postal workers always go on strike, and they happen to pretty much go on strike just before Christmas, and a lot of parcels were delayed. And that's probably the worst thing that happens in Canada, and people freak out because they won't get their Christmas gifts on time. So let's go into our next news story. So this is a pretty big bombshell claim that Guns N' Roses former manager Alan Niven made about Steven Adler and Axl Rose. So former manager Alan Niven sent a response via rock journalist Mitch Lafon, who forwarded it to Alternative Nation, where he basically talked about the big issue that happened between Axl and Steven Adler. Went on to say, just to clarify, let me make it absolutely clear that Steven's exit from Guns was driven by Axl and Doug Goldstein, and to my understanding was significantly motivated by Axl's anger at Steven for letting Erin high on smack and having his way with her. And while I can understand that, the support of everyone else for Steven Adler was undercut by his inability in pre-production to play a song the same way twice. Steven dug his own hole, jumped in it, and pulled the dirt down on top of himself. As for my motivation being in any material, let me make it clear that I signed on to the Hopeless Case because of their attitude. Why else would I take on a band built to lose, as Slash described it as Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction speech? History, however, has shown that Axl and Doug Goldstein had material motives. Axl, Mr. 50%, was fine with cutting both Steven and Izzy out of the tour. I'd hazard a bet that Bugs Bunny ain't been paid for the Rock video yet, or if he was, he merely got a quarter of the carrot while Axl took the salad. So a Louder Sound article details Steven's departure from Guns N' Roses. So the article said Adler was sacked by Guns N' Roses on July 1990, ostensibly for unable through drink and drugs to fulfill his duties. Yet for many years, a rumor had circulated that it was an accident in which Axl's ex-wife, Erin Everly, OD'd at Adler's house that soured his relationship with Axl. So in a 1992 interview, Rose claimed that Everly had been found naked and was taken to the emergency room. I had to spend the night with her in an intensive care unit because her heart had stopped, thanks to Steven, he said. She was hysterical, and he shot her up with a cocktail. She'd never done smack as far as drugs. She'd never done jack shit as far as drugs go, and he shoots her up with a mixture of drugs. So in a 2006 interview with Metal Sludge website, Adler denied giving Everly drugs, claiming that he was jamming in his house with Hanoi Rocks guitarist Andy McCoy when McCoy's wife turned up with an already intoxicated Everly. I called the ambulance and saved her, claimed Adler. And this person, McCoy's wife, tells Axl I gave her smack. He calls me up and says he's coming over with a shotgun to kill me. I keep myself from doing anything to him, Axl told Del James in 1992. I kept the man from being killed by members of her family. I saved him from having to go to court because of her mother wanted him held responsible for his actions. So there's definitely conflicting viewpoints on what exactly transpired between Steven, Axl, and Aaron Everly. Turning now to some non-GNR news, this was one of my favorite stories of the week. So a driver in Canada blamed Motley Crue for a speeding ticket that he got from law enforcement. So he was pulled over for speeding, and what was his excuse? He was listening to Motley Crue's Kickstart My Heart when he decided to pull the pedal down, hitting 145 kilometers an hour in the process. So Kelowna now reported the driver was pulled over by the RCMP in Manitoba and fined $639 Canadian, which is probably equivalent to about $450 US. So a post on the police's Facebook page says, funny enough, our officer knew he was telling the truth since he was also listening to it, just at a much slower and safer speed. Hashtag no excuses. Hashtag always got the cops coming after me. So in January of last year, music fan Luke Mitchell was caught speeding down the M4 motorway in the UK while listening to Andrew WK's track Music is Worth Living For. So the big-hearted vocalist stepped in to offer to pay the driver's £100 fine, saying, Luke, I would like to pay the speeding ticket for you. I was responsible for the sonic party power that caused you to speed. Mitchell thanked Andrew WK but asked him to donate the cash to charity instead. And Motley Crue, of course, have been back together in the studio working on 4 new tracks on their upcoming biopic The Dirt, which is going to premiere on Netflix in March. So I thought this story was rather interesting. It's not GNR related, but I posted this because I thought it might be something different that you don't read on a lot of rock and roll websites. So Kid Rock apparently was trying to get approval for a bar he has in Nashville. So he had a giant butt-shaped neon sign he wanted to put outside his Nashville bar, and it was actually approved. So his bar will greet guests with a 20-foot tall neon butt. So it says Kid Rock has found a backwards way to attract patrons to his Nashville bar, and his idea was so vulgar it had to be approved by City Council. So the Metro Council in Nashville will allow Kid Rock to display a 20-foot tall neon sign that is a giant guitar. It sounds innocent enough until you realize the base of the guitar is shaped like a woman's butt, and the sign is not yet installed, but we can definitely use our imaginations to probably get an accurate picture of what it will look like. So the council voted 27-3 with 3 members abstaining to the display outside of the upcoming Kid Rock's big-ass honky-tonk rock and roll steakhouse, according to the Tennessean. Even though it was approved, several council members were not big fans of the gigantic behind that will soon be displayed in their city. One councillor said that this one I feel crosses the line between good taste and family friendliness, and I think that would be and I think what we would like Nashville to portray to people who come visit us, said one councilwoman. She also went on to say, if we allow this, what is going to come next? I think we can all use our imaginations there. So Metro Council City Attorney Mike Jamieson explained that prohibiting vulgarity has been deemed a government issue, but they have to take consideration of what is deemed obscene. Near the upcoming Kid Rock bar, there are several establishments that have signage that could be seen as obscure that have been allowed previously. And this isn't the first time the rocker has pulled an outrageous publicity stunt that has called for government action. So if you guys remember a couple of years ago, he was about to run for senator, and then he went on Howard Stern's show and said he had no plans of doing it. So we've also got another interesting piece of news with Axl talking about the border wall and the shutdown. So Roger Waters is considering performing the wall on the U.S.-Mexico border. So with everything going on in the news, it looks like Roger Waters has thrown his hat into the ring by suggesting he may perform the wall on the U.S.-Mexico border to protest Donald Trump, according to Loudwire. So the Pink Floyd legend Roger Waters is considering the performance on the border, and the Prague musician's decision would be in protest of President Trump's plan to build a wall separating the two countries, a project that's been highly debated regarding its effectiveness. So during a rare public appearance in London to promote a Pink Floyd exhibition, Waters spoke about his idea of jamming the wall somewhere along the border. Waters, who was joined by drummer Nick Mason, added, "Before this can happen, there will first need to be an awakening against these far-right policies. The sewers are engorged by greedy and powerful men as we speak." So speaking to the Associated Free Press, Waters explained the wall is very relevant now with Mr. Trump and all of this talk about building walls and creating as much enmity as possible between races and religions. Waters also noted that the album is about how detrimental building walls can be on a personal level, but also on broader levels as well. So in July of 1990, Waters actually performed the entire album in Germany to celebrate the fall of the Berlin Wall. And Waters has long been a critic of Trump's policies, having displayed images of then Republican presidential candidate at shows with the words charade and Joker across Trump's face. And the phrase Trump is a pig has also been projected at Waters' gigs. So Roger Waters protests Donald Trump with pigs There's also, when he did the desert trip in 2016, he also had more protest against Trump. So while flying Pink Floyd's iconic giant pig balloon, Trump's face was placed on the side with the ignorant, lying, racist expletive pig and expletive Trump and his wall painted across the balloon as well. So that does it for today's news, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Did you guys ever see Pink Floyd back in the day, or did you ever see Roger Waters on tour with The Wall? I never really was a huge Pink Floyd fan, but my wife saw The Wall and she said it was pretty amazing to go see it live. So thanks for watching, guys. Hit the like button and be sure to subscribe if you love GNR as much as I do. Take care.
Hey, this is Dizzy Reed from Guns N' Roses, and you're watching GNR Central. Yeah!